is my Mozart piece, played on the alto recorder. Brahms's Waltz, played on the alto recorder.
Today I will be teaching you how to put on a halter on a calf and take it off. This is my calf, Winnie. She is very nice and calm. She likes the halter, and sometimes she chews on it. So first you put it on your nose, and then you tuck the ears in, one ear at a time. And the halter is used to calm the calf down and control it a little better. This is just a rope halter. They kind of like them better than the fancier ones. And sometimes they chew on it. And sometimes they try to get away from you because not all cows like it, but this one does. So sometimes you have to tug them. And this is how you take it off. So you loosen the rope by pulling this a little, and then you take the ears out and then pull it down. And now the calf is a little happier.
You Buy project. My name is Katie. I'm excited to show you my Clothes You Buy project. Today we're going to show you how to make a strawberry banana smoothie. Here's some ingredients. The ingredients are 1 1/2 cup of strawberries, 1/2 of bananas, 3/4 cup of milk, 1 tablespoon of honey, and 2 ice cubes. You should wash your hands first whenever you bake and make sure your hair is up because it's gross eating your hair. Today we'll be making it with a magic blender. It's a kid-friendly blender. If you don't have a kid-friendly blender, you should probably ask your mom or dad before you blend stuff up. Today we will be doing, our first ingredient is strawberries. Strawberries have vitamin C and K to help your immune system, antioxidants to protect your cells from diseases, fiber for good digestion, heart-happy protectors to help your cholesterol and blood pressure. So we're going to be doing some strawberries, and we pre-cut some, but these are some strawberries. So now we are going to put them in the blender. And now we are going to blend it. And how we know it is done, because the blender, it's like smooth, really smooth, and that's how you know it's done. And then now you have your smoothie. And next we have the summary. Smoothie is 140 calories, full of vitamins and protein, healthy, easy to make, and delicious. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm 13 years old, and this is my second year in 4-H. I wrote this play for my ambassador group about 5 months ago. Our plan was to perform it with a group of kids at a farmer's market to help promote 4-H. But we can't do that right now. So instead, I took this play to my friend's house and we performed it there. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching. Happy birthday to my little girl Ruth! Tell Mommy what you want to be when you grow up.
Dancing unicorn.
Okay. Do you want some cake?
Yummy!
But often at the end of the day, Otis would just sit with his friends under the apple tree and watch the farm below. The end. Alright, bedtime. Ruth, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Ballerina.
A what?
A librarian ballerina.
Right, bedtime.
To be when you grow up. Fence doctor.
Oh, lovely! I have a fence out back that needs to get fixed. Would you take a look at it?
Where is it?
You know, like back around back. We have a new 4-H'er joining us today. Ruth, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
What do you want to know?
How old are you and what do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm 10 years old and I want to be a baker.
Really? So do I. Mom, can Ruth and her mom come over later to bake?
Yeah, of course. As long as it's okay with her mom. We'll talk to her when she gets here.
Hello and welcome to Sunrise News. Today I'm at Ready, Set, Frost. I'm here with bakery owners and professional bakers Lainey Van Heel and Ruth Thompson. Lainey, Ruth, what do you think inspired you to become bakers?
My 4-H club. I joined when I was 10 and I met Lainey. She invited me over to her house. And we made a baking club and that's how we got here today.
Well, that's very exciting. You heard it right here, folks. 4-H helped these two young ladies become professional bakers.
So if you transplant, you get a full season. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dig my hole. I am using an old hole where a plant used to be, but is not right now because the plant died. So now I've dug my hole. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my compost. I like to use llama beans. So some of my llama beans. It's fresh from my sister's mama. We scooped it earlier this week. So I'm just going to get a little bit in there. And now I'm going to plant my plant or get it out of my pot. So this is not the best kind of plant pot to use. It's not recyclable and we like to recycle. So I am going, if you look at this plant, you can see these little tiny roots. So when I plant it, I want to make sure all of that is covered. I'm just going to get a little of that dirt that I scooped out earlier and put it around the plant. I want to make sure I cover up those roots. When you plant a plant, you want to make sure it's like about an inch above the leaf. I'm just going to pat it down so we don't lose the air. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put my mulch or my grass clippings on. I like to use grass clippings because they're easy to use, and next year when I plant my garden, it's going to have high amounts of nitrogen, and that is going to be helpful when I plant my garden. Okay, so when you plant your plant, you want to make sure that your tomato plant has to be in a full sun area. We are doing this video in the evening, so it's in the shade right now, but during the day it's going to be in the sun. So the final step I'm going to do is I am going to add just a little bit of water, and we want to make sure we get all around the plant and not just by the center, because it encourages the plant roots to spread out. But for tomato plants, I'm going to use this tomato cage, and it is going to help my plant grow upright, and this is kind of an old one, so we have to be careful when we put it in. We just want to get it not too deep into the ground. Like that. So now, my tomato plant is planted.
And it has gone on a national bark trip for the last 4 years. Since we can't go on one this year, I decided I would read to you a book called A Camping Spree with Mr. McGee by Chris Mandis. Mr. McGee is an adventurous man who finds himself in dangerous situations with his dog, and the animal that caught them in that situation gets them out of that situation by mistaking something for something else. So, here we go. Early one morning at 7:03, Mr. McGee and his little dog Dee packed up the camper and hitched up the load, hopped in the Rambler, and then hit the road. They drove to the mountains far from the sea for 2 nights of camping, or possibly 3. "There's nothing like camping," said Mr. McGee. "I know you will love it. Just you wait and see. The views are fantastic. There's hardly a sound. Aside from the wildlife, there's no one around. And the air is so sweet you sleep like a log," said Mr. McGee to his small spotted dog. A few hours later, they took a sharp right and found a great spot to lay camp for the night. It was high on a hill with a beautiful view of Mount Adams, Mount Lincoln, and Jefferson too. But perhaps the most wonderful feature of all was a brook that ran over the steep waterfall. Dee gathered pine cones and branches and logs. McGee made a campfire and cooked up some hot dogs. And as the sun set behind the far distant knolls, they sat roasting marshmallows over the coals. As the embers went out, they felt tired and dozy, so they climbed in their bunk beds, all comfy and cozy. But while they were falling asleep without a care, along came a stumbling, bumbling bear. A kindly old bear who said it wasn't so clear. He couldn't see far and he couldn't see near. But he could smell marshmallows, sticky and sweet. The smell made him hungry. He wanted a treat. He sniffed out the place where the marshmallows lay, but the car and the camper were in the bear's way. Yet they didn't stop the sneaky old snitch. He simply tried squeezing right under the hitch. And as he was shimmying into the gap, he pushed up the hitch, which let go with a snap. Now that the camper and the car were untied, they started to roll down the rocky hillside. The car bounced away on the old logging road, while the camper was headed toward the stream flow. It flew down the hill in a wild, bumpy ride, with Dee and McGee sleeping soundly inside. They were snoring and snoozing and enjoying a dream, but splashed went the camper right into the stream. The splash shook the camper. They bumped out of bed. "Now what in the world was that?" McGee said. And when he looked out and saw where they were, his hair stood on end, and so did Dee's fur. They were caught in the rapids, but that wasn't all. They were headed smack dab for the big waterfall. Dee and McGee both started to quiver as faster and faster they headed down the river. But just when they thought they'd fall over edge, their camper got stuck on a rock at the ledge. So there they were, stranded, McGee and his pup, on top of a waterfall, 50 feet up. Meanwhile, that nearsighted bear from before was searching for one little marshmallow more, when lo and behold, as if out of a dream, he spied something sweet floating over the stream. But what the bear thought was a marshmallow was really the hitch, and not something to eat. The bear was determined to capture his prize, so he jumped into the water right up to his thighs. He splashed through the stream to the edge of the fall, and snatched up the trailer hitch, camper and all. Dee felt the tug. McGee heard a knock. As the bear pulled the camper right off the rock, he dragged them both all the way back up the bank when he realized the hitch was not sweet, but really quite rank. He spit out the hitch and left in dismay. But Dee and McGee's camper again rolled away. It flew down the path with a jolt and a jar, and stopped in some bushes right next to the car. Dee popped her head out. McGee looked out too. Had they really stopped rolling? Could it really be true? At last things were quiet, peaceful, and still. They hooked up the hitch and drove down off the hill. And on the way home, McGee said to Dee, "That trip wasn't quite what I thought it would be." So when they got home, with the sky turning red, they decided to camp in the backyard instead.
Stories of my grandma being a 4-H queen, but it wasn't until recently that I learned that the same county fair my grandma was queen, a tornado interrupted. their county fair. This got me thinking about what other secrets may be hidden in 4-H history, and this year I completed a research project about 4-H history. I learned that in the 1800s, universities found that children would experiment with new techniques developed at the universities and spread their results through the communities. Young Farmer Clubs were clubs of children who performed and spread these experiments. Young Farmer Clubs had officers, projects, meetings, presentations at county fairs, and record books to complete at the end of the year, just like 4-H today. 4-H credits A.B. Graham of Clark County, Ohio, with the first Young Farmer Club, which he created in 1902, although many clubs existed across the nation. In 1907, Young Farmer Clubs became so popular that they needed a program-wide emblem. O.H. Benson designed it. His emblem was a 3-leaf clover standing for head, heart, and hand. In 1911, Mr. Benson proposed that hustle be added to the emblem, and he created the emblem we know today, but with the 4th H standing for hustle instead of health. He thought that the program trained kids to, quote, hustle to render ready service to develop health and vitality. Later that year, O.B. Martin recommended changing hustle to health. This was adopted and has stood ever since. Along with the new emblem came the new name, 4-H. In 1914, 4-H became a national program through the USDA. And in 1928, 4-H Club was used for the first time in a federal document. In 1924, the 4-H name and emblem are patented, and in 1927, the 4-H motto, creed, and pledge are adopted. Have you ever seen those letters at the bottom of the 4-H logo and tried to crop them out of whatever you were working on? I know I have, but that was until my 4-H history project taught me that those letters were something to be proud of. The letters 18 USC 707 at the bottom of our 4-H logo stands for federal protection, only given to several very important emblems. The only other emblems under 18 USC 707 is Smokey the Bear and the presidential seal. 4-H is the largest youth program in the United States, and a longitudinal study conducted by the Applied Research and Youth Development stated that 4-H youth are 3 times more likely to actively contribute to their communities and have higher educational achievement than youth not in 4-H. Just as Mr. Benson said in 1911, 4-H still trains our heads to think, plan, and to reason, our hearts to be true, kind, and sympathetic, our hands to be useful, helpful, and skillful. We are going to do what I'm calling the crop, which is really cheesy. The crop is what you call it when a whole bunch of scrapbookers get together and scrapbook together. So very cheesy, but basically we are going to be actually creating your first scrapbook page.
So I understand that some of you are not going to have photos to scrapbook with today, and that is totally okay. I do have some things that you can use instead of photos. So my ideas include clip art, magazine images, postcards, tickets, memorabilia, and drawings. So of course I have examples. This one is magazine images. This is one you already saw. It uses memorabilia for the name tag and then the drawing of a superhero.
All the way through this project day, but there is some more. And after that, you'll actually get to the steps on how to make your first page.
The first examples we'll look at are example layouts. All of these are going to have a title, some photos, and journaling. They don't have embellishments, so you would add those after you saw what the page looked like. Lastly, we will go through a couple scrapbook pages that have most of the scrapbooking elements in them. On this page, you can see that the photos, title, and text are matted. There are 2 sticker embellishments, and the title is in a creative lettering font. On this page, you can see a busy background, and to contrast that, all of the colors are dark, and the text is matted. On this page, you can see that the photo, along with the text, is matted, and there are 4 embellishments. There isn't a title because not every page needs every element. I actually included this page to tell you that you should always sign your pages, or include a page at the end of your album about who you are and why you created the album. This allows future generations to know who created the album because this information is often lost. I've broken down creating your first page into 5 steps. The first step is to choose your photos, find a title, and compose your journaling. I only want you to choose 1 to 3 photos so you don't have too many on your first page. Your title should reflect what your page is really about and can be fun and catchy. When you compose your journaling, I suggest doing it on a mat so you don't have to know what your layout will look like ahead of time. Step 2 is to add a background and then mats if that would help your page. Step 3 is to lay out your elements on the background and try different arrangements so you know what works. Step 4 is to select your embellishments. A good place to start is your craft supplies, but remember, anything small and fairly flat can work. So the last step to creating your first scrapbook page is to glue down everything.
I've gone through all of the steps and I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's going to be a great addition to my coronavirus album.